On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Today's definitely been another tumultuous day. Stock market's definitely not happy. Gold hit another all-time high. See where it's at the moment. I mean, right before I started recording, we looked at it and it was, the highest it's been. So we are seeing some things happen. We're seeing a game play out. Kind of hoping. We got to put a lot of faith in this one, but hopefully Trump knows what he's doing. I mean, I think that's why he pulled back. I think he was realizing, and we got some words from him, that people were freaking out a little bit. We've got to keep these things in mind. But also understand that this sort of has been talked about for a long time, right? We were going to experience something along these lines. Had a weird situation happen with a Frontier airline flight. No offense, my least favorite airline. I don't know. I've never been on Spirit Air. It seems like you have to know how to fight to be able to fly on that airline, so that might be worse. Frontier's just horribly uncomfortable. No offense, Frontier, but horribly uncomfortable. My goodness. The precautionary search is underway after keeping sound, or they were beeping sound, I guess they were hearing, in the cargo hold. I mean, with the number of electronic devices we have in the world, it could be any number of things, but of course, could have been a bomb as well. Adam Schiff, he is demanding answers from the White House and Office of Government Ethics about whether anyone in the Trump family or administration profited off of this tariff chaos through insider trading. Funny how worried about that they are from Trump's standpoint. Also funny, I'm assuming Trump's not stupid enough to do that. I think he's always been really good about those types of things, as well as his family. So I don't believe anyone is going to do what the Democrats typically do. I know it's so hard to believe that they wouldn't do exactly the same thing. The House of Representatives passed a bill Wednesday to limit federal district judges' ability to affect Trump's administration policies on a national scale. The No Rogue Rulings Act, led by Rep. Darrell Issa from California, Republican, passed the House and limits district courts' power to issue U.S.-wide injunctions, instead forcing them to focus their scope on the parties directly affected in most cases. Members voted 219 to 213. There was one Republican that joined the Democrats in opposition. And it's interesting is this individual did not get called out. I literally had to, I ended up using Grok. I went digging for stories, and it's just like, my God, and I went through story after story after story, and they're all saying the same thing. And one Republican didn't vote. No one gave the name. I'm like, why are they protecting this guy? So needless to say, I did find out who it was. Here's one of the examples. No rogue ruling. Instead of forcing their focus, all but one Republican lawmaker. Everywhere we're saying it this way. All but one Republican lawmaker. And you click on this story. It has nothing to do with the lawmaker. And I was like, well, this is stupid. I want to know who it is. I thought it was Massey. I'll be honest. That's what I was expecting it to be. I was maybe disappointed. I was looking forward to chewing on him some more, but I'm glad it wasn't him this time. Interestingly, though, it was Mike Turner from Ohio. Not sure why he voted no on the No Rogue Rulings Act. Not sure why Mike Turner from Ohio did that. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just wondering why he was the one Republican that didn't vote for this. Mike Turner of Ohio. No rogue. Like, we want these district courts to be able to shut down the entire nation? That seems unfortunate. The House passed the GOP budget blueprint minutes ago, giving Speaker Mike Johnson a victory just one day after he delayed the vote over a vocal opposition. I think they actually passed it all the way. Yeah, the measure passed a 216 to 214, bringing Republican leaders one step closer to being able to pass the massive fiscal bill, which includes $4 trillion in tax cuts and I think $5 trillion in debt ceiling. And actually, the House did, in fact, pass a bill as well. This is pretty cool. Requiring proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections. 4 Democrats even joined on this particular one. And they passed this today, Thursday. Lawmakers approved the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, the SAVE Act. 220 to 208 vote. 4 Dems came along. I think we had a Republican or two, though it didn't. Whatever the case. The legislation sponsored by Rep. Chip Roy from Texas would amend the National Voter Registration Act so that states would be required to obtain proof of citizenship in person from people who are registering to vote. No longer just blanket registrations across the world. Now, it's still got to pass the Senate. Now, I was thinking, because we've got a couple things that are like passed in the House, if you will, but not yet in the Senate. And it kind of dawned on me. I don't know. I'm gonna throw this out because I don't like to prognosticate, but this is kind of what it seems like would likely happen. I think there's a very strong chance that they're going to get some of these bills queued up, passed where they can, right? Maybe passed in the Senate if they can, whatever, but in most cases it's going to be the House. Then I think we're actually going to get, at some point here in the very near future, we're going to actually get some election interference proof and likely some proof of shenanigans. Once that begins to happen, and once we've got legitimate proof, and then we've got a couple more of these recounts that have to happen, or at least legitimate investigations, we might actually have some we might have some people question whether or not somebody should be in office or not currently. And until those elections get resolved, some people might actually have to step out completely because there's no, like, we can't just let you stay in because you might not have won. So we got to pull you out completely. And that actually might change the racial ratio, if you will. I'm kind of wondering if this could happen. We'll see. They obviously have to push through a lot of stuff in that meantime. Maybe this is part of how we kind of move into that. What was it, the trumpet guys? That the case in the Supreme Court. I'm trying to blank on the three dudes, the brothers' names, but those three guys. That's the case that's kind of infamous about trying to arrest everybody. I don't think that's going to happen ever, really. I just don't think it would be such an extreme. The government would be in such chaos and shambles. Like, that would be almost like the last thing you would want to happen. But I think a lot of people, Brunson brothers, those guys, I think a lot of people would like to see something happen. So the idea of something radical happening, I think they're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's have martial law. That'd be cool. At least I'd know something was happening, right? But it's like, you don't really want martial law, though. That's if we're going to wish for something, let's wish for something cool. Like signs from heavens even would be better, I would think. Whatever. We'll see how it plays out, but I think we've got some stuff coming with the election in the not-too-distant future, and that is going to shake things up a lot. So, and I'm, like many of you guys, I'm very much looking forward to seeing that happen. House Speaker Mike Johnson on Wednesday appointed GOP New York Rep. Elise Stefanik as chairwoman of the House Republican leadership for the 119th Congress. She was supposed to get promoted. She had to essentially pass up that promotion because it would have created too small a majority for the Republicans, and it wasn't worth the risk. It would have been a huge risk for the gain that we would have gotten. So she is being rewarded a little bit for making the right decision, so good on her. We've got a Facebook employee talking about how Meta literally was storing data in China. I think this is Josh Hawley that is, I don't want to say grilling her, but certainly asking tough questions. She's answering admirably.
So I want to just be clear about this. Here in this document, Facebook is talking about making Chinese user data available to the Chinese government because they're going to store that data in China. Is that correct?
Correct.
But when you store that data in China, Americans who exchange messages or other information with Chinese Facebook users, that would mean the Chinese government could get access to the American data as well. Is that correct?
Through the POP servers, potentially, yes.
And Facebook was willing to take that risk?
Yes, there was a lot of discussion about this, and ultimately, yes.
I mean, this is extraordinary. This is exactly contrary to what Facebook has represented for years. Here, they're willing to build data centers, store data in China. They are willing explicitly to give the Chinese government access to it. And if that means that American user data is also compromised, they're willing to do that too. All for profits in China. There was virtually nothing they weren't willing to do.
And a lot of this stuff has to come out right now because people have to realize, because it's going to be the deep state folks within our government are going to push very hard for, how we're xenophobic or something against China right now. This is going to be a big push. We're going to start to see that happening as the people that have to be in bed with China expose themselves. So again, always benefits really when these bright lights shine on certain aspects of our world, and we start to see who supports, who gets crazy, who says this, who says that. It has been impressive. It's been kind of interesting listening to some of the other creators too, just some of the crap that's coming out of people. No shortage of anything right now, I'll tell you that. Healthy Home, love these guys. Incredible product. The STEM Active is the product I like two of these a bunch. Stem Active is my favorite. This thing, I had a dislocated shoulder. I was having pains when I'd work out. It was kind of one of those things I generally just kind of tried to deal with because it's one of those, you got an injury, but at least it still works. Use it or lose it, right? But I started taking the Stem Active, and I'm not kidding. Within 2-3 weeks, I actually started realizing, I was like, oh, I haven't noticed my shoulder in a little while. And I made some changes. There were some weird habits I was doing that might have been aggravating it, whatever the case. There's a couple things at work, but this stem cells in your body are like essentially, I always call them androgynous. I just think it makes it sound funny, like they're sexually confused. But they're cells that don't know what they are. They can be anything. You got damage in your lung and you need repair. You need stem cells to come in there and become lung cells, and that's what they do. They come in as an androgynous cell, and they'll be like, oh, you need a lung cell? I am now a lung cell, and that's what they become. Muscles, joints, whatever in your body, when it needs repair, stem cells are what your body uses to do those repairs. Stem Active enhances that 25 to 40% just naturally. There's no stem cells in here. Those typically would come from a fetus, and they're also extraordinarily expensive. I think their injections are upwards of like $1,000 each. Right? To actually have embryonic stem cells put into your body. And they supposedly have crazy effects, don't get me wrong. But your stem cells are what heal you, what help keep you healthy, what help really keep you moving along. And I'm telling you, when you go to the shop tab, the Stem Active is an amazing product. And there's a gel version of it, which I actually think is even less expensive by a few bucks, like $5, $6, $7 cheaper or whatever. And it's a gel, it's liquid, goes in quick. Some people say these pills are kind of big, What's big to one is, no, I'm just kidding. Balance is a great hormone. It's not a supplement. It's not giving you hormones. It's giving you things that your body's going to use to help with the hormone and balance as we get older. I think this is more towards ladies as they start going through some of the hormonal changes that happen in their bodies. This product is supposed to really help support that. It's going to help you get better sleep. It's going to help you just kind of work through those things naturally, without having to take a bunch of hormones, because that can throw off other things, and you don't want to do that. Collagen is the most popular protein in the body. You need it. You need it for your skin. You need it for your sore muscles. So you got sagging skin and all that stuff. Collagen peptides are going to help big time. It's also a liquid formula, so it gets into you quick. It's an amazing thing. Helps with nails, hairs, and it's like one thing that's almost annoying for me, being a guy, is I'm like, I got to cut my damn nails all the time now. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. Because you're taking that stuff. AO12 just gets antioxidants out of your body, gets them out. Those are bad. They help, they age us. They prematurely age us too. Antioxidants are a horrible thing. You want to remove them, and there's a lot of different techniques to do it. This is an amazing one. This AO12 is a great way. It's, I would think, a liquid, 30 packets, so it's powder probably. And it's like this stuff, the Prime. I love the Prime. This is the one this is my favorite. Right? Same thing, basically. That stuff gets antioxidants. This actually just opens up your blood vessels. It helps you just with more energy. You just have more energy. If for any of you guys that do the gym or like to work out or anything, this is awesome. It definitely gives you more energy. It just helps, especially if you're adding it on top of everything else. I don't believe there's any like sugar or anything weird like that in there. In fact, no, there is just some vitamins and some other stuff in there, but there's no sugar or anything along those lines. So again, you're not going to mess with your ketosis or anything like that. It's an awesome product. And of course, if you've got a pet, maybe it's gotten a surgery or something like that, I highly recommend Stem Active in those cases. I don't mean, if you're a baller, man, yeah, have your pet on it all the time. It's just like you, human. It's going to help them with, just the aging process and keeping them in a better place. But really, I recommend the pet club stuff as a kind of, it's just cheaper, But this is like if they're having surgery or if they injured themselves, something along those lines, this is super helpful to get your dog's or cat's own. I guess you could probably get this into a cat. Good luck though, huh? But your dog at least would probably eat this. But get it into them and get their stem cells enhanced so they can heal quicker and better. It's powerful how it works. I'm telling you, my shoulder is like, it doesn't bug me. I've talked to a bunch of other people. Girlfriend's shoulder's actually getting a little better, and she's got calcification, so I'm not making promises there, but she seems to be improving, albeit slower, and she doesn't do her stretches and stuff like she's supposed to. So again, I got a kind of funny thing, but I got people that have told me about their knees. I've got people that are telling me about their shoulders too, elbows. I got people that are telling me, dude, this is working. It's a powerful product. Stem Active is awesome. Go to the shop tab. Again, I've talked about joining. Highly recommend you join. If you sell to 5 people, Literally, if you sell to 5 people, you get your product free. Basically, you get a coupon for $150, like it's a credit. So you get free STEM Active, essentially, by selling 5 people STEM Active. I just recommend it. Join is a great thing to consider. And again, you can expand and actually make some money. And on top of that, you get free shipping, and you're just, in the big picture, helping yourself out with this more. But again, for some people, you just want to buy a couple of them and you don't want the hassle. I get you. So go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Once again, that's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Make healthy choices and manifest health into your life. This is really how you do it. You focus on being healthy and doing healthy. And that's what STEM Active and Healthy Home and all this stuff's all about, is being in the healthy mind space. So powerful products. Definitely want to take advantage of those. All right, so any member of Congress who purchases stocks in the last 48 hours should probably disclose that now, Ocasio-Cortez is telling us. She says, I've been hearing some interesting chatter on the floor. Disclosure deadline is May 15th. We're about to learn a few things. It's time to ban insider trading in Congress. It's one of the few places where I will agree with her. But yeah, so a big old spike. Oh yeah, big call volume spike minutes before the 90-day tariff pause was announced. Not a good look. Almost looks like some people did some stuff. And I'm sure that's going to come out. Here's Trump talking about why he decided to pull back a little bit.
Can you walk us through your thinking about why you decided to put a 90-day pause?
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions, because we have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. No other president. I know the presidents, they wouldn't have done it. And it had to be done. What was happening to us on trade, not only with, if you look at it, not only with China, but China was by far the biggest abuser in history, and others also, but somebody had to do it. They had to stop because it was not sustainable. Last year, China made $1 trillion off trade with the United States. That's not right. And now I've reversed it. It's for a short period of time, but we made $2 billion. We're making now $2 billion a day. And somebody had to do it. Roger actually said it. Charles Schwab was here a little while ago, one of the great financial people, and he said, he's been waiting for 40 years for somebody to do what I did over the last month. And if you didn't do it, you wouldn't have a country. It wouldn't be sustainable. So I'm honored to have done it. And, look, nothing's over yet, but we have a tremendous amount of spirit from other countries, including China. China wants to make a deal. They just don't know how quite to go about it. It's one of those things they don't know how quite. They're proud people. And President Xi's a proud man. I know him very well. And they don't know quite how to go about it, but they'll figure it out. They're in the process of figuring it out, but they want to make a deal. And we have many other countries, as you know, many more than 75, and they all want to come. And they want to come here, or they'll go to Commerce, or they'll go to Treasury. We have our great senators here and congressmen. They'll call John. They'll do somebody. They'll go through somebody, but they're all calling. How do we do this? They all want to make a deal. Somebody had to do what we did, and I did a 90-day pause for the people that didn't retaliate, because I told them if you retaliate, we're going to double it. And that's what I did with China, because they did retaliate. So we'll see how it all works out. I think it's going to work out amazing. I think that our country is going to be at the end of a year or shorter, but I think we're going to have something that nobody would have dreamt possible. A man like Roger Penske, I don't want to get him in trouble with China, so I won't, but he would know that someday you have to cut the bow and you have to do what you have to do, right, Roger? And that's what I did, and I'm very happy to have done it.
Yeah, Trump did the thing that nobody had the courage to do, which was to basically step up against China. No other country could. We are a large enough economy to be able to do this, but if we would have waited any longer, I saw a graph and I couldn't find it, essentially. I had a crap version of it. But there was a graph that showed like around 2000 what the trade looked like in the world, and a lot of it was the United States was involved. And then 20 years later, the same picture, and it's almost all red because of China. And so we were very short period of time away from completely losing. EU is expected to press ahead with massive fines on U.S. big tech. Despite the Trump tariff thing, I'm curious to see how Trump handles this, how this plays out. They're basically going to fine the hell out of Meta and X for things that they think are unfair. And that's kind of weird because it's an American company that's not really beholden to them. I mean, there's some, again, I don't know what the gray area. This obviously you're going to fight this stuff in court, but we'll see. I don't even know what happens. Like, does Musk ultimately have to shut Twitter out of? I mean, does nobody in Europe get to use Twitter because he's so extreme? They want stuff that they want to be able to look in everybody's files and be able to have access to everybody's information when they shouldn't. Just their people is all they should be able to deal with. It's this weirdness that's going on, and the fact that EU's trying to speak for multiple nations when each nation should really have its own voice. We're seeing it play out, so we'll see what happens. China is threatening to unleash $1.9 trillion tsunami on the world in a drawn-out tariff warfare. The communist nation has spent years, they say, fostering a strategy that transitioned from building housing to $1.9 trillion construction factories to make cheap goods for export, seeing them rise 13% and 17% in 2023 and 2024. Now, Chinese companies who had previously responded to Trump tariffs by offering discounts to longtime U.S. clients are willing to forego the American market entirely, they say, as they attempt to find new buyers. So they're talking about essentially just, all right, we're not going to sell to America anymore, which would scare a lot of people, but I think we're bringing a lot of stuff back, and we will be quickly. And, pharmaceutics is some of the concerning stuff, but that's what's basically happening. Now, again, there's chips that China needs that they don't make. We do, Taiwan does, but they don't. So, there's that. So we're in an interesting war, and the stock market's obviously feeling it, if you will. Australia rejected China's plea to join hands against the United States, and Australia, our good friends down under, g'day. They're like, no, we want to kind of keep working with these guys. They're long-term partners. We've been buddies with America forever. Not to mention we got a crap ton of infrastructure down in your guys' country. Having China get access to that would probably piss us off pretty bad, especially some of the I want to call it SETI, but the big dishes, right? We got some major infrastructure down there for listening to all sorts of stuff, for that matter. Despite California Governor Newsom's efforts to pursue relationships with the country, it seems that China has announced it will reduce the number of its U.S. films it imports in reaction to the President Trump's tariffs. I guess they used to, or they typically have annually imported about 10 Hollywood movies. That accounts for about 5% of the overall box office receipts in China. Well, China's going to cut that back. And that's, of course, going to affect Hollywood here in California. Wah, wah, wah. Sorry there, Gavin. Looks like you weren't able to make things better. China says door to talks is open. They're like, hey, man, door's open. Come have a chit-chat with us. We're not going to close it down. We're not like that, but you have to come at us with respect and all this, no pressuring, threatening, and blackmailing are not the correct ways to deal with China, is what because they're very proud, like Trump says. They're very proud. They're not going to handle someone trying to push them around in any way, shape, or form. China is very strong, so China would never look weak, especially the Communist Party can't look weak. Communist Party is actually many might not realize this, but it's actually basically considered God. Most people in China don't believe in life after death. They believe in the party, and they don't necessarily know any better because anybody that tries to get spiritual generally gets killed. It's not a good direction to go. So yeah, China says, but hey, no, we're open. We keep talking, right? Well, the U.S., they slapped 145% tariff on China. Now they went up, another 41%, I think. Right? 145% tariff on China and the sharpest trade escalation yet. And interestingly, this has affected the markets. Now, the markets, I was watching them right at open. It was just crazy how much. And gold right now is the highest it's been. It was started at 110, then it went down a little bit. It went up 112 today. Right now, anyways. 112 gold went up in one day. It's sitting at 31.91. It's almost at 32. talking a lot about it. And I'm telling you, I've just, yeah. Anybody that's invested, even if you invested within the last 6 months, I bet you're stoked, probably. I'm saying there might still be time. I'd still consider it. I'd go to drslikesgold.com for sure. drslikesgold.com. It could be too late, don't know. But here's the thing, I would get the ball rolling. You got to get the stuff from like Fidelity or whoever, right? Look to see what, and then the second when you decide you're going to pull the pin, like where are we at that moment? Because things can happen pretty quickly. They've got DocuSign and all sorts of stuff. They've got the best customer service I've ever used. They can help you do this quickly, right? And legally, tax-free, penalty-free, all that. Yeah, 3105 right now for silver. So silver's kind of back up a bit. That's pretty sweet. But yeah, gold, man, 3172 actual bid price right now. 3173, it just went up. Incredible. And there's discussion of it moving further. We've got Trump is saying about a year, right? So how this plays out over that next period of time, one, is meant to level the playing field. Two, get China to get them out of our stock market most likely. Dude, we are not done with bad days of the stock market. They're going to probably try to do it in moments, right? Because they don't want to take it all down at once, right? You do too much at once, it's too fast, too much. People way panic. It's already hard enough for people right now. So, yeah, it's gone down a bunch. It's probably going to continue. Again, drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out tax-free, penalty-free. Just saying, at least get the ball rolling. Check it out. Don't be stuck in the market if you still have a chance to get out. That's all I'm saying. There's a lot of room in gold and silver to go up for sure, and there's definitely room for the stock markets to go down. I mean, we haven't even talked about Taiwan. And I think once Taiwan actually happens, I'm almost going to guarantee that we do a blockade on Panama. And that's when the United States basically takes that over. Like, this is going to affect stuff. Big time. Price of gold's going to continue to spike. Price of silver is going to continue to go up because of all of the crazy. The more crazy it gets, the more these assets go up. They just historically have. drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system while you can. Secretary of Labor Lori Chavez de Remmer confirms President Trump that Doge uncovered massive unemployment insurance fraud. I don't know if this is the big news, but this is freaking huge news. I'm hoping there's bigger coming still, but check this out.
Unemployment insurance fraud. That trust needs to be whole for the American people. When we need it for who deserves it. That's not what we're seeing in the numbers that we saw last night, again, exposed by our partners at Doge at the Department of Labor. Since 2020, over $400 million of payments have gone out already. And when you hear these numbers, apparently in the United States, we have over almost 25,000 people who are over 115 years old who are collecting $59 million that we have sent out to people. Talk about fraudulent behavior. Mr. President, 28,000 people between 1 and 5 years old have collected fraudulent payments at the tune of $254 million has gone out. And lastly, 10,000 people who have not been born yet, 15 years into the future, $69 million, and they haven't even been born yet. In one case, they will be born 129 years from now. The United States government sent them $41,000, and they're not born yet. So, under the Department of Labor, those are the things that we're uncovering. I couldn't be more honored to tell the American people that we're bringing back their dollars, and we're saving them and returning them to the United States Treasury.
I assume they have to be black or Asian, these individuals that are born 125 years from now, because they look so young. My goodness. Oh, it's insanity, right? So, huge. 25,000 people who are over 115, right? And that's $59 million being paid out to them. 28,000 between 1 and 5 years old that are collecting fraudulent payments. There's so much money going out that is fraudulent. Ocasio-Cortez was supposedly getting it for her grandmother or something for like 15 years, and they continued to cash the check. DHS is going to screen social media of visa applicants for anti-Semitic activity. That's cool. I mean, they have to delete it all or something. They might, but we do have the Wayback Machine, and I'll bet you we do go way back. And so it'll be interesting to see how that would play out. But obviously, people would try to it would behoove them to get rid of crap stuff on the internet before you try to come into this country. President Trump has signed an order revoking Chris Krebs' security clearance. This is kind of long, but I don't know. Trump was sort of having fun. He was in a good mood, and this guy's a pile of trash, and he goes into some efforts to let us know that even Trump thinks this dude's a pile of trash. He uses different words, but you get the point.
Christopher Krebs, the former head of CISA. This is a man who weaponized his position against free speech in the election context, in the context of COVID-19. A presidential memorandum to the one you just signed. It assurances he might have, and further instructs your Department of Justice, other aspects of your government, to investigate some of the malign acts that he participated in while he was still head of CISA.
This is another one. I don't know that I met him. I'm sure I met him, but I didn't know him. And he came out right after the election, which was a rigged election, a badly rigged election. We did phenomenally in that election. Look what happened to our country because of it. Open borders, millions of people coming into our country. Russia and Ukraine, that would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. Afghanistan, the way that they withdrew with 13 dead, but so many killed, actually. I mean, so many killed outside of the 13 soldiers, hundreds of people killed. And maybe, I don't know, never mentioned, but I mentioned it, 42 or 43 people so badly injured, the legs, the arms, blown off, the face. And this is all because of an incompetent group of people that preceded us, and that would have never happened. And this guy Krebs was saying, oh, the election was great, it was great. Well, it's been proven that it was not only not great. When you look at all these lawyers and law firms that are signing, giving us hundreds of millions of dollars, it was proven by so many different ways in so many different forms, from the legislatures not approving to the that worked from all of the different scamming operations. It was a very corrupt election. They used COVID to cheat. And we're going to find out about this guy too, because this guy's a wise guy. He said, we've been proved this is the most secure election in the history of our country. Now, this was a disaster. And frankly, we should go to paper ballots, same-day voting, voter ID, and one other thing, you should get a little certificate that says you're a citizen of our country. You get a citizen piece of paper that says you're a citizen before you can vote. But you want voter ID and you want paper ballots, and you really want same-day voting. If you don't have same-day voting, they decide to change the air conditioner. Oh, we're fixing the air conditioner. Let's move all these boxes. We'll bring them back in a few days, and then they don't bring back those boxes. We got to have safe elections. We have to have borders. Ideally, we have to have a free press, which we don't have. We don't have a free press. We have a very dishonest press. This is an honor. We're going to find out whether or not he was right. This was a disgraceful election, and this guy sat back saying, well, I'm a member, or like he's a Republican or something, and almost right from the beginning. And he's tried to make the case that this election was a safe election. I think he said, this is the safest election we've ever had. And yet, every day you read in the papers about more and more fraud that's discovered. He's the fraud. He's a disgrace. So we'll find out whether or not it was a safe election. And if it wasn't, he's got a big price to pay. And he's a bad guy. Here's another one. I have no idea who he is. Krebs. I have no idea who he is. I'm sure he was in the room at some point, just like you're all in the room, but I have no idea who he was. So thank you very much. Those last two are very important, I think, for the country.
Did I oversell? I think Trump made no minced meat about it, right? Like, yeah, the dude sucks balls. He's a blowhard. He's a pile of trash. He's a jerkhole. He's right? Oh yeah, this is the picture we're supposed to show of Gretchen Whitmer, right? She's like, she was literally there when Trump was making these comments, right? When he was talking about the investigation into Chris Krebs, right? The 2020 election interference, right? She seems a little concerned, maybe she's getting her words together too, because she did seem to have spoken at this event, 17-second long short.
I understand the motivation behind the tariffs. And I can tell you, here's where President Trump and I do agree. We do need to make more stuff in America. More cars and chips. More steel and ships. We do need fair trade. I understand.
Well, I didn't realize how weird she sounds. I don't listen to her enough or ever. I didn't realize that she's just got a strange voice. I mean, I'm sure some of it's the accent. And yes, I'm trying to be mean. It's not nice to be mean, but yeah. Fox News Digital has learned that the U.S. Office of Personnel Management will post an updated privacy impact assessment at the close of business yesterday. It's going to be paving the way for artificial intelligence to improve government efficiency and enhance the federal record-keeping process. We do know, and there was a story I shared a little while back, that there was a specific program. I think it was the dude that was originally the founder of OpenAI. I want to say he was the one that was working with the government, creating a government version AI that would only have access within the government records and not be able to get outside, essentially, keeping it isolated and likely making it very good, especially for top secret stuff. There was potentially a separate one for that. I don't know if they'd have the same AI have access. I don't know how they're going to approach that. I'd be very curious. And whether we ever know, I doubt. But all said, so they're going to be implementing some new rules. AI is going to go into effect, which is cool. And many people are saying they're going to use AI to spy on us. That's probably true too. Like the second you send an email that's any sort of weirdness, like I'm sure AI is going to be scanning everything before it goes, and it's just anything that seems to be derogatory or seems to be against policy. Like you could train AI on policy pretty quickly, and right? It's like, think about that for a second, that every email is like scanned in like a quarter of a second or half a second, whatever, and then, is assessed whether or not they're breaking any sort of protocol. And now all of a sudden you've kind of shut them down. Now, I mean, again, this is kind of Big Brother to the extreme, but it's government workforce. Like I've worked for private companies, and you always tried to make the company money. That's how you become a good employee. People don't really look at it that way when they're government employees. So again, we've got a mind shift that needs to happen. And it's, I think, generational to a degree. Now, this is a story that I already saw salacious headlines on. And I don't know. I think it's funny. Like, I think people see headlines sometimes, and then that sets the show for them, right? They're like, oh my God, they're kicking Kash Patel out of the ATF. They've kicked him out, right? Kash Patel was removed, is the word they use. Removed. Removed. We're removing him. He's been removed. Ooh, removed. My camera was removed for a while there, sure. But here's the thing. He's the FBI director. He was doing the ATF, probably because they didn't have anyone else at the time. Probably because we were trying to get some shit figured out. Probably, right? And so now it's like, yeah, he's not. They put someone in. So they say replaced. We're removing you. Well, no. He was interim, I think. And so, yes, he's been officially, removed or whatever. And then the new guy, the Army secretary, that's quote-unquote supposed to be in charge of the ATF. Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll. This is what 4 people familiar to the matter said, but I think there's probably some truth to this. Again, like I said, it's funny to me, the headlines on it. I've already seen literally shows, before it's news. It was like, I don't know what happened to that place. They used to love me. I am not liked on that place anymore. It's kind of funny. I never see my videos anymore. But 2, it's like I see a lot of, mostly just salacious stuff, and it's just clickbaity. I mean, you get stuck listening to something, and you're like, this is 4 years old. Oh, my God. It just pisses me off. U.S. Intelligence, it's probably why I'm not on there anymore, because I'm not saying nice stuff, I guess. U.S. Intelligence investigating whether FBI involved in 2021 Capitol riot. They're trying to say nobody, there's 24 people or 26 people, but outside of that, nobody was doing anything there. We're going to find out the actual truth. Plus, and I think Epps is one of the ones that everybody's curious about. I'm pretty sure Kash was probably asked about that numerous times when he was on the outside, while Biden was running things. And Epps is a big one for everybody. Epps was, whether an informant or Epps was somebody that an informant was working with, and in which case now the question is, how many of Epps's were there? How many people were actually working with these 26 individuals? If these 26 individuals didn't do anything themselves, I wasn't actually on the property, but Ray Epps was. And those other dudes that were up there with the blowhorn and, shouting stuff, and the dude rolling up the fence, and right, we've all seen the videos. All seen the videos. Ray Epps the night before talking about how we got to go in the Capitol. That was a psyop. A very good one. It was definitely had government involvement. We'll see. Director Patel sends declassified Crossfire hurricane docs on Russiagate scandal to Congress. Sends them, like 700 pages or something like that. Some crazy ass bunch of stuff. And so all the materials related to that, there it is, nearly 700. Classified records have now been obtained by Just the News as well. Talking about the Crossfire hurricane redacted binder. Let's see. FBI is investigating targets both candidates and then President Trump in 2016 and beyond. Began with the ginned up allegations of collusion between Trump and Russian government, but Crossfire Hurricane will soon exposed as the deep state. And we did. We figured it out. And it played a large part, I think, in waking a bunch of people up. But yeah, the information is coming out. I don't know if there's anything major in here. FBI Cash said he hereby declassified the remaining materials. I think Trump said, sorry. So this is my final determination under the declassification review, and I have directed the Attorney General to implement the redactions proposed in FBI's January 17 submission and return to the White House an appropriately redacted copy. I don't know how Just the News got the legitimate one. Hopefully they didn't, but they certainly aren't going to go public with it. So we'll see. Some information's definitely going to come out. Things are going to be bad. They're going to come out when they need to. We've got ammo. It seems anyway, we do this. So we've done this so many times over the past 5 years, really. But we come up with a position on something that makes sense and actually most people can get behind. And then Trump basically says this is what he wants. And it instantly forces the other side to have to oppose it. They can't resist. They have to. And so we've got them opposing all sorts of things that are wonderful. Like I'm pretty soon Trump's going to be like, and I like Santa Claus, and I think everybody should like Santa Claus too. And the Democrats or the left's going to go, oh, Santa Claus is the worst. We hate Santa Claus. We're trying to get rid of him. Like it's going to be epic. It's just they can't resist. Tulsi Gabbard announced major JFK file dump. I guess some stuff hasn't actually been scanned yet.
In other cases, they have been hidden with the hopes that no one would ever find them. Related to the Senator Kennedy assassination files, the MLK assassination files, unlike the JFK files, these have never been scanned. They've never been digitized. These are pieces of paper, hundreds and thousands of them, that have been sitting in boxes at the National Archives and Records Agency. So we've had over 100 people manually scanning every one of these pages, preparing them to fulfill what President Trump promised the American people: maximum transparency and the release of these files that have never been released publicly before. We're not stopping there. We know that not all of those documents have been turned over to the National Archives Agency, and so we've got teams out there going and searching in warehouses at the FBI, at the CIA, and other places to uncover related documents that for one reason or another were never turned over before. So President Trump is very serious, obviously, about working to achieve that maximum transparency. That transparency will allow us to bring about accountability around the Russia collusion hoax, for example. The more we dig, the more we find the extent of the seriousness and the intent of that whole operation was very consistent with what we found in Stalin's operation. Show me the man and I'll show you the crime. It is disheartening to see these things, but it also provides us the opportunity to tell the American people the truth about what's been going on so that we can make sure we try to bring about an end to it and bring about that accountability.
So people are seeing it. They hate it. This is freaking out the deep state so badly because we literally are. We're just opening it up. We're just like ripping off the cover and just shining a flashlight and a whole bunch of shit scattering everywhere. And we're like, yep, that's what we figured. It's what we've seen behind every other thing we've lifted up. Trump administration threatens to end consultancy contracts after insulting proposal. Basically went to Booz Allen Hamilton and some others and basically said, look, guys, you guys need to look at our contracts, what we've got. In fact, Accenture, Deloitte, IBM, and Booz Allen Hamilton. I've actually had the privilege of working with one of those on more than one occasion, and they're extraordinarily expensive, and they weren't really all that helpful, frankly. It's been the case anyways. But they are asking these consulting companies, hey, we want you to look at the contracts we have, the way we're billing, the way we're doing work. Like, Trump's got a lot of experience in all this kind of stuff, and the government's just getting ripped off. Got contracts that are extended periods, though I've heard stories of certain things have to be, like I think it might have been USAID. They had to re-extend every 6 months. That might have just been USAID. But these people have contracts with the government that seem to last years. And Trump's literally talking about minimizing that. I think he was thinking of 3 years, which I still thought was insane, but whatever. At least it can't carry over too much further into another administration if that's what they're going for. But yeah, there's question about how these firms have essentially been weaponized against Trump, which would imply that they've sort of got an animus towards Trump, let's be honest. And so Trump really doesn't want them to be a part of our government because they have an animus. They're most likely going to cause a problem. Can't trust them. Got deep state ties. We know this. Again, when you think of stocks, when you think of the companies that are going to make it and not make it, the ones that are deep state are not going to make it. We're going to find out exactly who these companies are. I mean, there's a lot of companies that have deep state in them, but that doesn't mean they have to stay that way. I like to think that my old company that I used to work for, that maybe that's true for them, I hope, because what they've done is, is admirable in the extent of managing radio stations. But outside of that, they control things too. So it's a little concerning in that regard. And they put a lot of people out of jobs. Anyway, all said, yeah, we want to see if these guys can save some money. They came back. One of them came back with like $10 million in savings. They're like, are you kidding me? This is insulting. So they said all 10 groups now face a 5 p.m. April 18th deadline to identify more savings, restructure contracts to outcome-based or shared savings models, and offer the federal government a credit for what the GSA deems to have been past excessive revenue. In particular, some firms reported a double-digit compound annual growth rate over the past 4 years. The official noted an increase the person called eye-popping. Double-digit growth in the budget. You have to pay us over 10% or 10% more next year and next year and next year. And that all compounds on itself, which is great when you're the one making gobs of money. But when you're the taxpayer getting ripped off, and I'd love to see who owns Tippy Top. These people, Boone's Farm Strawberry, whatever this dude's name is, right? These guys over there at Booz Allen, Booze Farm Strawberry. President Trump issued an order this week punishing law firm Sussman Godfrey, firm that helped Dominion voting systems secure 780. This is kind of a spin on it. I don't think this is why Trump is giving them a hard time, but they were the firm that went after Fox News and got a big old settlement out of them. I doubt very much that's why Trump's going after them. Trump's probably going after them because, once again, they were weaponized. Plus, they've probably got the DEI and all that ESG nonsense, right? They got all that stuff happening. But they were weaponized against anybody that was conservative. And the weaponization is really the problem. It implies that you're tied in with the deep state. And you can't continue to be a part of anything. And right now, it's easier just to say you can't have contracts with the government than try to figure out which one of the Booz brothers isn't actually trying to ruin everything, right? Like, I'm not even going to try to figure it out. I just don't trust any of you. You guys work it out. Justice Department on Wednesday barred its lawyers from attending any American Bar Association events, escalating the Trump administration's battle with the legal profession over who lawyers should take on as clients. So there was a memo that was sent out. Todd Blanche said the Bar Association was free to litigate in support of activist causes, but that the department's employees must conduct themselves in a manner that does not undermine or appear to undermine the department's core mission of administrating justice in a fair, effective, and overhanded manner. Mr. Blanche also said, we'll no longer use taxpayer funds to pay for any travel to or engagement with ABA events. No longer allowed to do that. No taxpayer money. You can't go to the American Bar Association, which again is where your Soros type people are influencing these guys, literally cutting them off from the places that are trying to control them. We know exactly who these people are. So here's the thing. They can be there. That's fine. We just keep them from interfering or affecting us. Our people will, one, no longer show up, and two, you're no longer getting our money. It's kind of cool, I think. Donald Trump truth this. No more sanctuary cities. They protect the criminals, not the victims. They are disgracing our country and are being mocked all over the world. Working on papers to withhold all federal funding for any city or state that allows these death traps to exist. Awesome sauce. Continuing on. Here's the high flow shower heads are back. I was going to play this, but it's like 3 minutes. Again, he's just kind of having fun and being funny, but it's just not worth it for the little bit. But high flow shower heads, high flow, I don't know, dishwashers, whatever the hell, all the things that need more flow. I mean, dishwashers don't really use a lot of water typically anyway, but whatever, right? So all the high flow stuff's coming back, and that's awesome. And he's talked about washing his beautiful hair, and that was kind of the funniest part about it, but it's like seriously 3 minutes long. And I mean, he has gorgeous hair, don't get me wrong. Gorgeous. The Trump administration on Wednesday asked the Supreme Court to allow the president to remove a pair of independent regulators whose cases have broad implications for at least 24 other agencies, including the Federal Reserve Board, and for how the federal government operates. And this is sweet because, Supreme Court permits Trump to fire 2 independent agency leaders for now. Meaning, yeah, go ahead and fire it. Fire them, that's cool. And then, if they want to file lawsuits and shit, that's fine. Go ahead, have at it. But yeah, feel free to fire them. That's totally cool. Justice Roberts, 100%. And that's kind of a really cool way to come at it. Again, it's all showmanship on all these guys aside. I don't know if I don't know. Maybe Roberts is like, as big as an ass as he kind of seems to be, or we think he is anyway. Maybe he's kind of like the Netanyahu of our Supreme Court. Maybe, assuming Netanyahu's good. Maybe I'm just wrong there. But, right? Like, I don't know. Like, it's confusing, isn't it? None of this makes any sense. But Justice Roberts, I think, handled this in an interesting way that works, right? And it also works for all the other cases where they're like, you can't fire them. Well, it's like Supreme Court just said, I can. You guys can go ahead and continue, but you can't stop me. I'm going to go ahead and put in people in place that need to start doing the job, and then we can worry about litigating this later. So this is a big, big victory. Trump White House is going to appeal the ruling lifting AP restrictions over the Gulf of Mexico. We talked about this, how they were supposed to be let in, right? Which is kind of still effed up a little bit, because where do you draw that line on who can come in and who can't? Like, that's kind of weird, because you want to make room for people that maybe are just better to have in there. You don't want like, some dude that's got 10 people in his audience in there per se taking up a seat when you could have someone that's got 1 million people in his audience, right, in place. I guess you'd probably want it that way. It'd make more sense. Maybe not fair to the person with 10 people, but it's the way it works, man, So we'll see. Let's see. Yeah, they're challenging this whole thing. It's going to make it up to the Supreme Court. This is another good one, though, that I think Roberts is someone is going to rule on in a very interesting way. Like, you can't tell the White House who they can and can't have inside their own press room. Like, you don't get to mandate that. So all of this is very interesting, how judges are really stepping outside. And I've been out loud wondering to you all for weeks. I'm like, what's the Supreme Court gonna do and friggin' win? Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham on Tuesday declared a state of emergency in New Mexico's largest city, saying that a significant increase in crime in Albuquerque warrants the help of the New Mexico National Guard. Gee, sanctuary governor, can't possibly wonder how you managed to get so much crime in your cities. But, she's trying to handle it on her own, which is cool. I don't know. She doesn't want to ask for help, maybe, because pride, doesn't want to admit that poor governing has caused this problem. But she's training over 60 to 70 troops. I don't even think that's enough people to even make a difference. I don't know how bad it is. If any of these National Guard people get shot by criminals, it's not going to go over well. That's for sure, right? Like, I didn't even think about that. right? When you think about like they blowing up an aircraft carrier out in the ocean or something, we're like, oh, that would just America would be like, we got to nuke them, right? Well, what if like, oh man, I don't even want to say it. Damn. Like internally, something like that. Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, you guys, I didn't mean to bring you the thought. It's not cool to do that. Trump administration is going to pull federal funds for Maine prisons over trans inmate. Like here's the thing, and Maine's going to have to on this one, and I'm pretty sure they will, but they're going to have to move this individual, period. Put them in the regular general male jail, and this dude's going to get nailed for sure. And you know, I don't know. Whatever the case is, they're trans. All right, well, you're going to get treated like a woman, that's for sure. May not totally be one. You might be, though, strong enough for a man, but made for a woman? Maybe, right? We'll find out when you get back in a normal population. We got some cool stuff with our boy RFK Jr. I got a few things here. So we're going to hop into this one first. Many vaccines tested for only 3 to 4 days. No placebo. Like, this douche tries really hard, I think, to bend Kennedy in directions, make him look like, tries. I love RFK. I wish he could speak, but it forces you to listen to him, which is kind of a funny little thing that universe does to us sometimes. But here he is talking about this stuff.
I've always said during my campaign and every public statement I've made, I'm not going to take people's vaccines away from them. Right. What I'm going to do is make sure that we have good science so that people can make an informed choice. And we are doing that science today so that we know the risks of that product, and we also know what the benefits are. And right now, we don't know the risks of many of these products because they're not safety tested.
And I understand that position, but just to be clear, you are saying, and we do on the federal level, and you personally do recommend that people get the measles vaccine.
And when I say they're not safety tested, what I mean is they're not adequately. Many of the vaccines are tested for only 3 or 4 days with no placebo group.
All right, and I don't think this was necessarily the one I was thinking of. It might have been this guy here. But still, just talking about the child that passed away from measles. This was the one because this guy was trying to steer this. And RFK Jr. had the facts. And this guy, I don't know. He didn't seem to like it because either one, he didn't know the facts or he's got his way of reading the info. I don't know how much they're allowed to, or if they're given, like someone writes their scripts for them. I don't know how much they can control that, but whatever the case is, RFK Jr. I think does, again, a great job on this.
There's only 3 deaths from measles in 20 years. And they're all people with extreme complications. And
that's how you die from measles, because of the complications of it.
Yeah, it's people who are already sick. And
but there was no evidence for example, these the two children that they were sick before, and they got sick from the measles, right?
Well, no. Daisy Hildebrand, whose funeral I attended this week, was hospitalized 3 times from other illnesses. She had extreme tonsillectomy. She had mononucleosis that she could not kick. And then she got measles. She got over the measles, according to her parents. And according to the medical reports, I saw a report on it today, that the thing that killed her was not the measles, but it was a bacteriological infection.
Of her lungs?
She was graft positive for strep bacteria in her bloodstream.
Right. But what kills you with measles, of course, is you have the measles virus.
You have measles and you get pulmonary illness.
Yeah, you get pneumonia, and because the measles damages the lungs, and then the bacteria get in, and that's the secondary infection. But it's the measles. But you came out.
So you know what? We do a pretty good job. We do a very good job at controlling the measles in this country. And although the numbers of measles cases are now around 640. Those numbers will continue to grow because you're adding old cases to new cases.
And there's a long incubation period of 10 to 14 days, so you don't know who's out there spreading.
Well, no, but you're counting all the old cases where people have already got.
But there are also people infected today who are traveling, and you don't know who they're infecting, right?
But the point I'm making is that the rate of increase has substantially decreased. So we are successfully controlling it.
I mean,
I'll compare it to Europe, where they've had now 127,000 measles cases compared to 840 here, and they've had 37 deaths. So you ask, why are we still having measles? We're having measles for We're always going to have measles, no matter what happens. As the vaccine wanes very quickly.
But I guess the issue here is
Yeah, who cares? The whole thing that they don't ever seem to want to say either, too, is we've had millions of people come across the border into this country that have not been vaccinated for most of the crap we've been vaccinated. And to some degree, they bring their own versions of sickness, right? Wasn't that the fun thing with the pilgrims and whatnot when they came here and they're like hanging out with all the Native Americans and they're like, and all of a sudden a Native American just falls down dead because he's never had cold before, right? Like, dude, we brought all sorts of crazy shit over with us. We're like, hey, guess what? I just found this booger. Right? Dead bird. All the games we play. Whatever. Trump is, who's he talking to in this case? He's talking to everybody. RFK Jr. says, oh, yeah, we will know by September what caused the massive autism epidemic. Yeah, that's freaking huge, right?
We are going, at your direction, we are going to know by September. We've launched a massive testing and research effort that's going to involve hundreds of scientists from around the world. By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
So big. Think of that. So it was 1 in 10,000 children had autism, and now it's 1 in 31. Not 31,000, 31. That's a horrible statistic, isn't it? And there's got to be something artificial out there that's doing this. So you think you're going to have a pretty good idea, huh?
We will know by September.
There will be no bigger news conference than that. So that's it. If you can come up with that answer where you stop taking something, you stop eating something, or maybe it's a shot, but something's causing it. It can't be from 10,000 to. Can you imagine that, Marco? That's a big number. Thank you very much. You're doing great.
Yeah, super huge. And again, it could be the schedule on top of everything else, but they enhanced it from what, like 8 vaccines to like 70 or something like that. Like this is, that's a lot of stuff to jump.
We are going in your direction.
That's a lot of stuff to jump into little people's bodies, man. You just can't do that. Researchers at the U.S. National Institute of Health have been told they cannot attend science conferences and meetings without official permission. Again, much like the American Bar thingy, right? The American Bar Association. Another example. These scientists are not allowed to go to these different exclusive scientific places ever. Because again, Soros and some of the bullshit funding, your Fauci people, your Bill Gates people, influencing things, putting money in their pockets. That's how the game's been played. And then they come back and they're like, no, we didn't find anything wrong that would suggest that vaccines played a role. Yeah, it's just the same. It's the game that's been forever. And unfortunately, and I don't know how you do it, for most people, but like a lot of people, greed's a funny thing, man. Most people take money, right? You take money and shit on a bunch of people because you're just like, I'm just one person. How can I make such a difference? I say that all the time. Trump administration plans to remove all members of the President's Advisory Council on HIV and AIDS. This is extraordinarily interesting. First off, this council was big. It had more than 30 members. More than 30 members running around being, I'm the Advisory Council for HIV and AIDS. First off, we know that Fauci's beginnings was that thing, right? So this is removing the cancer, if you will. Or maybe we could even go so far as to say, we're acquiring our immune system back. How about that? We're acquiring it back. You're done. Dunskies. This thing's awesome, by the way. I don't talk about them enough. I know I should. It's just a great backup battery for when you've got, like, the lights go out or anything crazy goes on. Energy Tech. INERGYTEK. Energy. It's like that energy thing. EnergyTech.com/on the fringe. This thing, I tried. So I've got this crazy heater downstairs that, like, if I actually, it's like a fireplace heater thing. It's kind of looks cool, and I needed an entertainment center, right? And it just worked for a lot of things. I don't have a fireplace inside my house, so it's kind of like a fake one, and it's pretty cool, right? It's actually super cool. I can have it and the TV on at the same time, but if I like plug in a vacuum or something and then turn it on, like, man, I'm popping the fuse. It's happened too many times. So I was trying to run my fireplace on this thing just because I was curious. And the fireplace was pulling way more than it could do. This thing's up to 1,500 watts, and it'll do up to 3,000 for an extended period of time. It'll take spikes, right? Well, mine was pulling at like, I almost want to say like 23 or something crazy, 2,300. It was pulling hard. I was like, damn, this thing sucks down the juice. And I'm like, I'm just curious how long I could run. So I'm like, in the winter, maybe when football's playing, I'll just plug it into this, and then it'd be cool, and I can, just run my fireplace without, I can have other things happening, right? I can plug in a few crock pots and stuff, and it's not going to be a problem. So this thing handled it, and it ran above its range, which 1,500 is what it can do nominal, just like you can do that for hours. But it was like 2,300 for, 20 minutes. I was surprised. I was like, that's running higher than it should be. And I kept the thing was on, and it was actually heat was coming out, and I'm like, no shit. But it lasted about 20 minutes. But it was running past its nominal. This thing's awesome. It's also got a metal case around it in case something happens, like, an EMP of any kind, whether it be done by man or done by the sun. This thing's got a case around it. If you got it plugged in at the time, that's probably going to jack your EMP up a little bit. But if it's unplugged and just sitting there, yeah, it's got a metal case around it. EMP won't mess with it at all. It's awesome. It's made in America. It's made for the military, by the way. So it is heavy duty, it's rugged, and you can get multiple batteries. A little part on the bottom, tack battery. You can stack like a few of those. You can also get some solar panels. You can do up to 4 of them and actually charge this thing in about 3 hours if you've got decent sunlight. So RVers, it's not a bad idea for some guaranteed power. You'll charge laptops and phones and all sorts of stuff for a long time. It's awesome. EnergyTech.com/on the fringe. It's EnergyTech.com/on the fringe. The EcoFlow, I think, is the one that China makes. Is plastic. I've got one of those. Not nearly like this thing. This thing's rugged. This thing's made in America. And you'll know it when you get it. Go to EnergyTech.com. Check out their awesome products. They've got a bunch of really, really good stuff. They've even got some smaller ones if you're maybe not needing the whole thing. If you've got stations, you can get more of the batteries. They've got all your good stuff. Go to EnergyTech.com/on the fringe and learn more about how you can protect yourself. By the way, this thing could run a freezer and a TV. You're in a tornado watch and the power goes out again. Dude, you got options. I'm just telling you. You've got options. Sometimes the cable's tough, unless you've maybe got it, synced to your phone or something maybe. But EnergyTech.com. Good stuff. Good company. Check them out. If I can move on, folks. President Trump on Wednesday ordered Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency to investigate the Navy and the Coast Guard shipbuilding. Very interesting, because we need to ramp that up, obviously. It's something we've all heard about, how China's destroying us in this regard, and which they are, but we still... Yeah, they've got a long way to go, but still, yes, they do build the hell out of stuff. This is part of what's happening right now, too, is we're affecting that. But China does build stuff for other countries, which is creating some interesting divides. Pete Hegseth reviews plans for a space-based Golden Dome U.S. defense system. I don't know, the big thing I pulled out of this story is they're definitely planning on putting these weapons up in space. They're saying these will be the first weapons put in space. It's not true. There's already weapons up there. Don't even believe that for a second, guys. Don't believe it for a second. We've definitely got weapons in space. Other countries probably have weapons in space as well. So that's a bunch of nonsense. But this defense system's plan to defend the country against, of course, missiles, hypersonic, advanced cruise missiles, other generation aerial attacks, basically anything. Planes, too, if you think about it, right? You try to fly a plane in, you don't even need anti-aircraft weaponry if you've got some sort of weird laser that's sitting up in space, right? And then the plane's just flying in like stealthy, and you just like nuke one of its wings off. Done. Dunskies. So yeah, they're talking, they're putting a budget together, I don't know, whatever, figuring out how to do it. I don't know what we're ever going to learn about. I hope they demonstrate something to some degree, because they're obviously going to have to make us all feel safe. Now, the other side of this too is the concern is to whether or not we're going to have extra visitors coming in the near future. Any sort of, I don't want to get off on the woo too hard, but any of the Planet X type stuff, if there's any truth to any of that, this would make sense from that standpoint too, and they would be weapons that could be used to actually protect us from potential visitors from the other direction, especially once our planets and stuff become closer. Like that would be the thought process, that their craft can't travel, ridiculous amounts of distance, but they can certainly travel, thousands of miles, million miles or whatever when they come close. So who knows? Mike Huckabee confirmed as Trump's ambassador to Israel. Very groovy stuff. An Israeli airstrike on the Gaza Strip supposedly killed a Hamas militant who led the October 7th, 2023 attack on a kibbutz near the Palestinian enclave that left 75 soldiers and civilians dead. This guy's name, oh boy, you guys know how I am with names anyway, right? So this guy's got like 5 names. Let's do it. Let's have 6 names. Yeah, 6. Yeah, why not? Haytham Razek Abd al-Karim Sheikh Khalil. Yeah, that dude. Commander of the Hamas terror battalion was killed on Wednesday in a strike at the command post in the Gaza City, half a mile from Israeli troops. So apparently some baddies were in there and got squished. Tesla Inc. is debuting sales in Saudi Arabia. It'll be interesting because it's actually got the ability, because the Tesla truck is, frankly, in my opinion, as ugly as it is. It looks like the Stealth Fighter, I guess is what it reminds me of, which sort of makes it kind of cool, and then at the same time makes it seem like it's so 1980, but whatever. It's got significant more range than the other Teslas. Like it can go like almost 500 miles or some kind. I'm not the guy that owns it. I'm not like Mr. Stat on these, but it was like significantly more than the regular Teslas. So Saudi Arabia, where they don't have charging stations every 14 feet like we do here, and someone, that's inside shopping and just using it plugged in all day, they actually have the range to be able to make it from place to place, charging station to charging station. So they might be able to make it work. I'm sure part of the deal is that Tesla would be willing to build a few charging stations in a few locations. I'm sure they don't have power problems like we do. I don't know who this dude is, but director James Toback, he was hit with a $1.7 billion verdict in a sex assault suit involving 40 women. This is also part of that New York opening up the law, like where they got Trump with the chick in the store that raped him, even though he never raped her, right? Like, and then somehow I don't even know what they actually busted him for. It still doesn't make any damn sense to me. Whatever. Here's another case, and this guy probably guilty. I don't know. Supposedly, his span over 35 years, he has to pay $1.68 billion in damages to 40 women. Right? Like, I mean, damn. First, it's huge. It's, I think, the biggest payout ever. It's even bigger than Alex Jones, isn't it? Isn't it? Wasn't his like $1 billion? Where are they getting these numbers, man? Talk about inflation. I mean, seriously, that's when you know we are in a tough place right now. Apparently, American Airlines confirmed that 2 planes clipped wings at Washington, D.C.'s Reagan National Airport. No injuries have been reported, but interestingly, supposedly one of these planes actually was carrying some Congress people, like a few, in fact, which seems strange too, because they're not really supposed to fly on the same flights, but I would assume there are times where it's impossible to avoid. So, yeah, we are getting more problems at the same airport. D.C.'s Reagan International Airport seems to be where a lot of things happen. There was a fight there not too long ago where one of the employees in air traffic control literally is on leave right now, administrative leave, because of an altercation within the work premises. There are some problems going on at D.C.'s Reagan International Airport. Call it what you want. Don't know. A lot of crazy going on as of where I sit right now. I'm going to be doing my live show in about an hour and 20 minutes. Barely going to get this thing uploaded before I go live. So a lot of you guys that like to watch beforehand, I'm sorry. But for the rest of you, you probably don't even know. Guess what? I'm going to be doing a show talking about the Law of One. It's just a very cool concept of how just kind of making sense of some stuff. I think it's some very, very epic channeled information. They went to great lengths to try to make sure it was as accurate as you can be. And again, everything always goes through filters, so nothing is 100% pure channel. No such thing. Doesn't exist. Impossible. But it is one of the best channelings, I think, out there. And I've been going through it 2 sessions a week and kind of giving my feedback on it, helping, quote, teach, learn the information with you guys. And it's been fun. Been a lot of fun. I'm not as chatty in the chat like I am on Friday's music show, which it's going to be Ramones based this week. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I've already got the music set. I like the intro. I'm telling you, the first 2 songs are just like, the first song is the perfect intro, I think. And I'm not trying to oversell it, but when you hear it, you'll be like, that's a good intro. Good call. And then the second song is like, would have been a good intro. It's a little quicker to the punch, but it's just a bitchin' song. And it has nothing to do with the Ramones, really. It's totally outside in this weird little compartment that I somehow grabbed it from. So yeah, gonna be a fun show, and then the rest of it seems to flow appropriately. We got to have fun some way, folks. So yeah, a lot going on. Hopefully you guys will join us. We're going to continue to push forward, shoulder to shoulder, step by step. We are going to get through this. Things are going to start to speed up. Things are going to start to get a little crazier and probably a little bumpier. We're going to have some turbulence ahead. Fasten your seatbelt, folks. I love you guys. Where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.